Hello, Kerbal nuts, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program Career Mode 1.1 tutorial. This is Brendan the Kerbal Man, guiding you through the next round of Kerbal Space Program missions. Now, we have selected 2 new active contracts. Plant a flag on the Mun and rendezvous 2 vessels in orbit. Now, I took these for a few reasons, but the main one was that they have a lot of advance. So they're going to give us about 100,000 extra funds between the 2 of them, and the completion rewards are really high. I wanted to make sure I got them before they went away, because both of them were expiring soon. But before we fulfill those contracts, we have to perform another flyby mission to get a little more science, because we're not quite ready to land on the Mun. We have to do one more mission. And that mission is going to be a Minmus flyby. Now, we're basically going to conduct this the exact same way we conducted our Mun flyby, only this time I'm not going to blow us up right on landing. And the way I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen this time is I've removed the drone chutes from our vehicle entirely. And then I've put the heat shield directly under the command pod, so that we're going to actually have to EVA and remove all of the science before we're able to land. Hold on, I'm just going to put 2 of those on, because if I do just 2, then I can get my... And then I'm going to switch the A winglets out for the Delta Deluxe winglets, because these provide me with much more steerability. They're just better. They're just better. Alright, so we're going to launch this thing up. We're going to go to Minmus, and then we're going to fly on home. That's the plan. So, we have enough Delta V to make it, and we're going to send Valentina this time, because I do want another pilot, just in case I accidentally kill one of them. Career mode, it's important to remember that your pilots are not free. You have to pay for them each individually. So we're going to do a Minmus flyby. Flying to Minmus is not so different from flying to any other body from the Mun, but we do have to do an inclination burn, which is going to be a little bit difficult because we don't have tracking for those nodes, but we're going to be able to pull it off. So we're going to launch the same way as before. Once again, I'm burning pretty hard to the 90 degrees due east. And the reason for that is I just want to make sure that our ship is traveling in the same direction as the orbit. So we're going to burn our way on up. We want to do a better job paying attention to our height of flight than I have been doing. And I use my little G-force meter here to tell me when the solid fuel boosters run out, because it's going to drop when they run out of fuel, and that's my kind of code that, hey, you're not flying anymore at the rate you wanted to. So there we go. That is a beautiful trajectory. Just perfect. Now we can decouple those. If you're nervous about them blowing you up, which does happen sometimes if you don't decouple them, if the center of mass isn't lined up with your decoupler, then you can always just wait till you get out of the atmosphere and then do it there. Alright, so let's go on. I'm just doing a little force warp so you don't have to watch me fly for an hour. Technically, I think that it may be faster. I'll have to look this up. I'm going to do a video, I guess, in the next couple days on the best trajectory for orbit, because I do pretty good, but I don't think I'm perfect. Well, I'm not perfect at a lot of things, but I don't think I'm flying a perfect orbital trajectory. It's not bad. Let's see how she's going. Hey, look at that. We can make it see-through. Really barely fits. Go on, little Kerbal. You can make it. We should be orbiting in just a second. So like I said, the only difference with Minmus is that its orbit is inclined a little bit, so we have to be careful with our burn and just make sure that we really line up with in plane before we do our burn out towards it. We should be popping up over the horizon in just a second. There's our compass. Let me just get that up to 70. Great. So now we're going to set Minmus as the target. Ooh. And there's our delta node. So I don't have the ability to I can only do this manually, but what we want to do is burn. I'm going to guess this way. So I actually never remember which one we want. I'm just warping to the this descending node, and then we're going to burn. Let's see if I'm right. Nope, I'm wrong. I never remember which normal or anti-normal you burn to. I don't have the little tracker to show me. So there we go. Now we see that our orbit is starting to match the orbit of Minmus, and the descending node is starting to lower itself, and we want to get it to about 0.2. 0.1 is even better. There we go. So now our orbit is more or less in line with Minmus. So now we're going to do the exact same thing we did the first time, which is we're going to wait for Minmus to appear on the horizon. It looks like it's going to do that pretty soon for us. Yep. And once Minmus appears on the horizon, we'll perform our burn. So we're just waiting for the target marker to cross over the horizon mark. This is... Yep, there we go. So now that it's appeared, and if we look at our ship, we should be able to just barely see it. Let's see, sometimes we can look at this. Let's see, I bet it's there. There it is, way out there, that little speck. This is a long burn, but we'll pull it off. I am monitoring my fuel because it is possible that we run out, although I'm not planning on it. And it's always possible that you could have an interaction with the MUN that messes up your Minmus intercept, but let's not have that happen either. There we go, and we have a meetup, and it actually involves a MUN encounter, so we're gonna have to burn a little bit. Once we get to Minmus, we'll manipulate it some. So now I'm going to zoom in and just see what our orbit is relative to Minmus. We are way up above it, but that's okay. So now I'm going to, once again, now that we have some solar panels on the vehicle, I don't need to sit here worrying about whether or not it's going to run out of batteries, so I don't need to turn them off and on, which is really the whole point. I think it was on there in the first place, right? If you're doing a Minmus encounter like this, it's very likely you're going to run into the MUN. And we just want to be careful about that by... We're going to manipulate the orbit just slightly so that we don't hit the MUN. And we head back home instead. This almost would be the Reddit challenge for no return trajectories on hard, but I didn't just take the time to adjust it. Alright, so here we are. We're about to be in a Minmus-based orbit in 3, 2, 1. There we go. We are officially flying by Minmus, and that means we can collect some major science. Yeah, 62 there, and then we're going to come here and grab it from the mysterious goo. And from the thermometer. And from the crew report. And then we'll EVA her. She can do a EVA report as well. Every body in the Kerbal system has a different science value, and that kind of helps you know essentially whether or not your flybys are offering you the that helps you determine which planets are worth visiting for you and which ones aren't. So let's just see. I burn here. No, that's not quite. We want to burn prograde. If you are in career mode and you don't have your unknowns, you really do have to just kind of play around with this. I'm trying to get us so that we are just barely entering the atmosphere. Yeah, there we go. 50 should be good. And this might take a few laps to pull off, but now I need to EVA, and I'm just going to pick up all of my all the science and transfer it to the crew hatch. So that's a great new feature. If you have not played for very long, that you don't realize is so fortunate, but they now give you that nice little that really wonderful nav bar when you're in EVA mode, so that you can set a target and go to it. That used to not exist, so we used to have to just fly EVA by hand. There we go. Sorry, it's hard to do this and talk. I always get nervous when I make any sort of video like this, and I'm just sitting here talking all the time and people just want me to shut up. So if that's the case, tell me, because it's an anxiety of mine. Alright. So I've now collected the data from all of the different modules and data, and we will be just returning back. There we go. So now everything else is empty, so when I kick them off, I'm not going to get in trouble for losing them. So now we're going to warp back into our orbital trajectory, and we are going to monitor the MUN and just make sure that we're not going to fly by. But let's make sure that that one's already been got. I'm just making sure that all of the high aboves we've done. Okay, cool. So now we're just going to warp our way basically back down. Sorry, my phone's going off there. Back down to Kerbal. We're going to get close, but not quite there. And we missed the MUN just barely. Beautiful, and we should be just about in our return trajectory. Alright, here we go. Coming in for the landing. Did a little time warp on you all, so you don't have to watch the many laps it took to pull this off properly, but we are officially on a trajectory to set ourselves down back on Kerbin in just a few moments, which is what we want. So, let's just finish it up, and then we will be ready, I think, in the next video to make a landing on either the MUN or Minmus. I haven't decided which one we're going to. We probably will go to Minmus first, because I think that's a little bit easier to land on. But either one, if you have an opinion, send it along. I will probably take a little break for the next video, you know, so I can take care of finals and stuff. 1.1 has looked really great though so far. I've been impressed with a lot of the features. One thing I did realize I didn't know you could do, if you right click on anything that has a little pop-up window, once the window, let's make sure we don't go up, because that would be really, once the window pops up, if you click on this little button here that gets indented, I can now click on something different like the parachute, and it will stay up so that I don't need to stay clicked on it. That actually really helps a lot in terms of my ability to fly the vessel. So it's a nifty little trick that means I don't have to, I can keep this parachute, for instance, ready to activate if I want to do it by the button method instead of staging. Gives you some interesting options, especially for science, because that means I can set up my science stuff that way before I get action groups, so that I can click on it instead of having to open stuff up and go through all the steps that get a little more complicated when I have a lot of different science. Alright, we are coming in over the Kerbal mountaintops. I really do think they've enhanced some of the visuals. I might just be saying that, but it looks nice. Parachute is deployed, and we are officially... Ooh, that's a little dizzying. We are officially landing shortly. And it should be poofing in 3, 2, 1. We call that the parachute poof. It's an official term for Kerbal Space Program. I mentioned last video I've been struggling with like how to sign off on these. You know, some people who do this a lot, like Scott Manley has a little phrase he uses. But for those of us like me who are not Scott Manley, we don't have that. So, oh, that's really cool. Look, it stays on the command pod even when I went on EVA. Alright, so we're going to quickly perform our EVA reports. Store the experiment, hit space, do another EVA report. You do get more funds if you land close to the Space Center, but I actually have found that in some cases it can be worth it to not, because by landing away from the Space Center, I get different biomes every time I land. Which is nice, especially in these early stages where each little bit of science helps. So let's recover the vessel. This is going to be chock full of science, I hope. And then we will sign off for the day after we add to our tech tree. This has been a fun little video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will be sure to post more shortly. Yeah, look at that, 164 science from our flyby. And, well, we didn't make back much money, but we can worry about that later. And Valentina advanced to level 1. 10 points for Team Valentina. So I'm going to go over to Mission Control and make sure that nothing really interesting appeared to me. Let me do this satellite contract. I'll add it in just so I can show that to you guys in a second. And we have our little contracts up. Great. Let's do our science, add the new technologies we're going to select, and then we will move on from there. Alright, so I want the landing gear that's here. Oh, now this stinks. Look at that. So we have 179. So if I take this, I'm going to be left less than 1 point short of getting another science. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to the spaceplane hangar and quickly build a little science collector to collect some science from the spaceplane hangar. And like I said, you can roll around the Space Center and get a lot of science in the beginning of the game, but you don't really need to. For me, that's kind of monotonous. So let's do the... So we want to do this manned if we're trying to get as much science as possible out of it, which I guess we are. Great. Oh well. It doesn't matter, that little thing is there. Makes no difference at all. Bunk. Dunk. Great. I just put literally all the science options I have. The probe core doesn't need to be there. I just clicked on the wrong thing. But because of it doesn't matter. We're recovering it directly from the launch, from the runway. It's completely irrelevant. Alright. So we'll observe the science material. We'll take a crew report. Oh, we didn't put a crew in. Oh well. Doesn't matter. I just want the 0.5. So every so often when I get new science technologies, I come here and I just do this once to add a little bit more science to the collection, especially if you're like 0.5 short, like I was right there. Right. So that gave us 12 more science, so now we have enough to get the other technology I wanted. So I took those landing legs, and now I think I'm gonna go... It's a difficult decision. That doesn't really do as much. I don't really need those, so I think I'm gonna go with fuel systems here to get these larger tanks. That's going to give me some more options when we get to launching our vessels. Alright, this is Brendan the Kerbal Man. I am signing off. Thank you for watching my videos. I will be back again soon with the next part of our career mode playthrough. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.